Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name is Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. This is the second video that I'm filming today. So I've still got obviously a cough and a hoarse voice, so apologies about that. This video is about the reading goals that I set myself at the beginning of the year. Obviously we're at the halfway point of the year now and I'm going through my goals to see how I'm doing basically. So I've written down my goals that I wanted to achieve this year and I've made some notes about how I've done about them. So my first goal was to read 50 books this year. Last year I read 46 books and I wanted to increase that to 50. So far I've finished 30 books this year, so I'm well on course to beat my target of reading 50, which is really good because before I had BookTube, I only used to read about 25 books a year. So I'm really proud of myself that I've already 6 months in beaten what I'd normally have read in a year before BookTube. Now, of those books, I wanted to read more diversely. So I wanted to read more black and minority ethnic authors. And so far I have read 7 out of the 30 have been BAME authors. So, not too bad. I mean, obviously it could be better. Last year I read 8 out of 46, so this is 7 out of 30 this year. So I'm definitely doing better than I was last year, but there's still definitely room for improvement. And I also wanted to read more LGBTQ plus books, which I really enjoy. And 6 out of my 30 have been LGBTQ plus books this year. So again, I could room for improvement, but not too bad. So the next thing I talked about was how I wanted to do book buying. So I decided that because new release books are so expensive, like hardback books, about sort of £15 a book, if I wanted to get a new release book, I wanted to order it from the library, unless I had birthday or Christmas money to spend. And I think I've achieved that. Like, I have been ordering books from the library that are ones which are new releases, and so for instance like A Keeper by Graham Norton and Waterfalls of Stars by Roseanne Alexander are both new release books in hardback that I got from the library. I have bought some newish books if I've seen them, for instance at the supermarket for £4 or on a sale table, that kind of thing, but I haven't paid sort of £15 for a book, apart from when I got given a voucher at Christmas time. So doing well there, and also to buy more second-hand books. So I would say the vast majority of books that I've bought this year have been second-hand. I love going into second-hand bookshops and charity shops and seeing what bargains I can get, or in our swap library that we've got in Norwich. So I've definitely been keeping to that target. So the next one was to read more books from my 2011 TBR. So I have made a couple of videos now where I've gone back to my Goodreads shelf when I started Goodreads in 2011 and looked what I still had on my shelf to read from them. And I've read 5 books from that selection. So I think that's pretty good actually, 5 out of the 30. And then of my backlist overall, 7 of them have been books off my TBR. So that isn't brilliant. I'd like to actually increase that because obviously the rest have been ones that I've either borrowed or got from the library or got new. My next goal was to read more genre fiction. I haven't actually read any genre fiction apart from romance. So I sort of talked in my early part of my video about how I was kind of previously embarrassed that I liked romance. Now I don't care. I'm quite happy to admit that I like romance, and I have read 2 out of 3 of a romance trilogy by Kennedy Ryan, and really enjoyed those, so that's good. But I haven't read any other genre fiction. I'd quite like to read something sort of fantasy or something like that, especially because I love Jean's channel, and she talks a lot about fantasy books, and I've been really intrigued by some of the ones that she's talked about, especially the ones with dragons. So I'd quite like to try something like that because it's completely not what I normally read, but I'm sure I'd get really hooked. One of my goals was query poetry, as in do I or don't I. I haven't read any poetry collections for years really, but if I see a poem online, I really like Mary Oliver's poetry whenever I see it posted online. So I'd really like to read some stuff by Mary Oliver. So I'm going to set that as one of my goals for the coming 6 months, to read some Mary Oliver poetry. I had a goal. I've got 2 Ryan Adams collections, and I had a goal to read those this year. The difficulty I have with that is Ryan Adams, who is one of my favourite singer-songwriters, has now been in the press for sexual misconduct, and I really don't know. I haven't been able to listen to his music since then. I was supposed to be seeing him live with my brother, which I was really looking forward to, and since all the allegations came out, he cancelled the tour, cancelled his album release, and I just don't know how I feel about reading his poetry now, so I don't know if I'm going to achieve that goal. The next one was to read one book of 3 authors who I've been amassing their works and not read anything by. One was Sarah Waters, one was Maggie O'Farrell, and one was Sarah Moss. So I've achieved one of these goals because I have read The Night Watch by Sarah Waters, absolutely loved it. Really looking forward to getting to more Sarah Waters books, but I've still got the Sarah Moss and the Maggie O'Farrell to read by the end of the year. And then my last 2 goals, so one of them was to get more book space. I haven't got more space yet, but I have reorganised my bookshelves, and I've done a video quite recently sort of doing a bookshelf tour of how I've organised my shelves, and I am planning either with my birthday or Christmas money, I'm going to try and buy some new bookshelves from IKEA that I can do a different wall of the office with, try and get them floor to ceiling, and I'll have some more space, which will be really nice. And then the last one was how to choose what I'm going to read next. So I've put on my notes, I don't think I really sort of made it into much of a goal. One was reading by whim and not doing too many in the way of challenges. And the other was getting my 5-year-old daughter to just go up to my bookshelves and pick something and making me read that, whatever it is. So there were 2 things I wanted to do. I'd totally forgotten about getting Faye to choose a book for me, because I've done that in the past. It's been really lovely. But I've forgotten completely to do that. So that's one I've got still to do. I have got a TBR jar, which I've been using with variable success. So the last 4 books I picked out of it, I've read one of them, and the other 3 are still sitting there by my desk. I read, which you probably all remember because I've made so many videos about it, I read the Wellcome Prize, most of the long list and all of the short list this year, and after I'd finished that I really wanted to do some reading by whim, because I found it quite challenging to read so many in a row, all from a list. So I have been reading by whim more, which is good. So of the goals that I set, I think I'm doing pretty well, really. I think so. The main things I've got to do is to read a Sarah Moss book, read a Maggie O'Farrell book, to carry on with my good buying habits, to read some genre fiction, and then to try and keep increasing my diversity. And one new goal that I want to set myself, I've had 2 books which have been partly read literally for a couple of years, if not longer, because one of them is a parenting book, which I love, but I tend to read it when I'm having a difficult time with an issue, and then I don't finish it. I kind of get what I need and then don't finish it, and I want to start from the beginning and finish the whole thing, because it's so brilliant. And that is called Parenting Without Power Struggles by Susan Stifferman. And the second book that I've had for ages that I've been reading is Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Mace, which is a non-fiction spiritual book. And the reason it's taken me so long is because you have to write essays and do written exercises throughout the book. And I've just finished the first section of essay writing, which might sound a bit laborious, but actually it's really, really helpful in deciphering sort of certain meanings from the book and getting the most out of the book. It's just I have to be in the right mood to do it. So in nap times, I normally have a lot to get done, and in the evenings, my brain is normally quite frazzled and I don't feel like sitting and doing that. So anyway, that's one of my goals for the upcoming 6 months, to finish both of those books. So let me know if you set any goals for yourself, and if you did, how are you getting on with those goals? And I will speak to you all soon. Bye.